is over.
Welcome, everybody, to this special interview, and we have got a real treat here for you guys today. We have one of our own community members and the first one who volunteered to be with us, which is awesome. Today, we have Jodie Gilly. Jodie, welcome to the show, and thank you for volunteering to be with us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome.
We are too.
Yeah, we're definitely excited to have you on. I'm sure the guys in the community have a lot they would like to know. One of the things that really started us out and all of us out was the Bray Wyatt thing and the Fiend character. So, and I know you have been a proponent of that character since you started. But before we get into all that, so Jodie, just tell the guys a little bit about yourself. So, what? First of all, where do you hail from? Where are you from? And what got you into wrestling?
I am originally from England, actually. I was born and raised in a city called Leicester, which is actually not far from where Days lives, I don't think. And I moved to the U.S. with my family when I was 9 and lived in North Carolina for most of my life and moved up to Indiana, which is where I am now, in 2009.
That's awesome.
I got
Very
into
cool.
wrestling actually because of my husband. He has been a wrestling fan his entire life. And when we started dating about 3 years ago, he kept telling me, you've got to watch wrestling. You've got to watch wrestling. I love it. It's all I do it every week and you've got to watch this with me. So reluctantly, eventually I was kind of like, oh, okay, fine. So, the first match and the first episode I ever watched was the episode where Bray had his Ultimate Deletion match with Matt Hardy.
Oh, wow.
And that was the first time I ever saw Bray, first time I ever watched wrestling, and I was hooked. Both of those characters were I was just in awe. I was like, man, these guys are really cool. And so I was literally sitting there watching this, and I said, I like that dude. And he's like, oh yeah, Bray's awesome. You've got to go back and watch his old stuff. His old stuff is really, really good. So that was kind of how I got hooked on Bray. I had to go back and watch all his old matches and promos, and yeah.
That's awesome. Now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this here. So see, now we're learning why,
That's
why
right.
Jodie is the big fan of Bray. So that's very cool. That's very cool. So was pretty much your introduction to wrestling. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you come to find the community? How did you come to find the Wrestling Days community?
I don't even remember. I remember just finding him on YouTube at some point, and it was probably my husband that found it first. He's like, oh, you got to watch this dude. And we just started watching Days. And when the teasers came out for Bray coming back, my husband was immediately saying, that's Bray Wyatt. He's coming back. And that was what prompted me to kind of join a Facebook group about it. And I joined the Firefly Funhouse fan group when it was about 200 members. And it didn't take long before the other admins kind of contact me, and they said, hey, we all kind of play our own little roles in terms of the puppets, and we need an Abby. So we need a girl. So they said, will you join our team and be our Abby? And that kind of stuck. So they still call me Abby.
Oh, see, now that's okay. That's awesome. So, and I mean, I joined that group. I remember pretty early on. So, in case you guys didn't know, Jodie was a big part of a Facebook group called the Firefly Funhouse Facebook group, Bray Wyatt group. And it was an astounding amount of people that joined that group in like the first couple, not even a month or so, and it exploded.
It exploded, honestly, because I remember the day, because I was at Smackdown. Me and my husband got tickets to go to Smackdown, and we went to Smackdown. And as we were leaving, we had just seen Bray leave in his car, and he waved to everybody. And as we were walking back to our car, my phone starts blowing up. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And apparently Wrestling Days and C Wrestling had both mentioned the group, and that's when it kind of exploded, and it hasn't really stopped.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
How many members do you have now, Jodie?
We are at just about, I think we just hit over 14,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, that's crazy. And the amount of popularity that character had. And going back to the previous thing when you had said that, you know, your husband was watching the thing with the Funhouse. I know personally, and Jeff, I could probably speak for you too, when that first came on, and I had been waiting for months and months and months, and I'm checking the internet and I'm looking to see if there's anything at all on the internet about Bray Wyatt, and the only thing I could find was his post on Instagram, which were just, you know, everyday life kind of things that he was posting on there. And I'm hearing rumors, he's coming back,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden, you know,
You saw the box.
Yeah, we got the box, we got the rocking chair, and then we got, and I knew it too. So I can feel exactly what your husband said to you, because I'm thinking to myself, this is him. And yep. It was so great to see that. I mean, Jeff, you probably noticed the same thing.
Absolutely. As soon as I started seeing some of those little clues, I knew, because I knew that he had been away for a while, and I knew it was kind of time for him to reinvent himself. So when I saw that, I immediately got really excited, because I've been a fan of his for a long time. And, you know, just seeing him evolve again was just really cool. So it drew me in. I mean, I was on the fence for a while with wrestling, but when I saw that, he drew me back in immediately.
So Jodie, what did you think when you first, what were you thinking when you first saw the Fiend appear?
I just thought it was awesome. I mean, when you first got the teasers, the couple of teaser Funhouse episodes, and he was saying that, you know, he's learned so much and he can't wait to share it with everybody. And then he said he had a secret to share. And then the Fiend came out, and you're just sitting there going, what the heck is going on? And you were just kind of like, what is he doing? Like, I don't understand what is going on. And then you just want to watch more. You're like, okay, now I need to know more about this person. Who is this Fiend person? And that little teaser was just, it's something so new and fresh, and something that WWE hasn't done for a really long time. And I know all the fans were they gravitated to it instantly.
Absolutely. Jodie, I have to ask you, Jodie, because this is what attracts me to this character, and I know Jeff as well. Are you a horror fan? Do you like horror films and stuff like that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Absolutely. There's been one horror movie that I cannot watch more than once, but all the other ones I love them. I'll watch anything.
Well, now you have to tell us what the one is.
Which one? Yeah.
Yep.
It was Hostel.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That makes sense.
And
that does.
I have never brought myself to watch it again. It was it was one of those all too real feeling horror movies that it grossed me out so much that I couldn't watch it again, because I'm like, this stuff probably actually happens, and I can't watch it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm much more of I do love horror movies, but I kind of gravitate towards the paranormal movies. I really enjoy those. I think Exorcist is probably one of my favorite horror movies of all time, but I really enjoyed the Halloween series, especially Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween. That was fantastic. And obviously, you know, everybody really likes the other movies that he made with his wife, and now I can't remember the name of it.
House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yes, thank you.
Devil's Rejects.
Yes.
I love all of those.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Those were fantastic as well.
Jodie, I have a question for you, kind of in the same lane, but when the Fiend character debuted, had you seen Bray Wyatt's ghost stories tale before, or did you go back and watch it after?
I had seen it before.
Okay.
So I had seen the video that he made about the man in the woods. That was one of the old videos that I had gone back and watched when I first found him.
Okay.
So that kind of clicked with me too. You know, when the first time you see the theme, you're like, I've seen this, I've heard about this before.
Yep. Yep.
So
I wonder how many people have actually gone back and watched it, or if they know absolutely nothing about it, because that video to me, and maybe you agree, it shows the depth of how he creates a character.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he made that what, 6 years ago, 7 years ago?
6 or 7 years ago. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's impressive that he's had this in his brain for 7 years. I mean, that's dedication and really, really immersing yourself in your character. And that's why we love him so much, because he's so creative and nobody else can do things like that.
Absolutely.
So Jodie, a lot of us wish, and I know a lot of the people in the community wish, that they could meet this man. And I know because I see comment after comment after comment every day of people. And listen, I'm super jealous, because I know I have tried so many ways to get this man to even to like a post. Now he's liked a bunch of yours. So I'm super jealous that you met him. You have to tell us, and you have to tell the community the story. I know you went to an event, but start us off when you get to the event. How exactly did you do it? Did you have it planned out that how you were going to do this, or was it just kind of a destiny thing and it just happened for you?
It was totally just destiny. I actually had a really, really bad morning. That morning I'd gotten some really awful news on the phone, and I had spent probably an hour in my car crying.
Oh boy.
And I actually messaged one of the other admins, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to go home. And he wrote me back and he said, Abby, don't. I just keep going through with it. Go to the show. He said, I just have this gut feeling that if you hang around, you're going to meet him. And I'm like, what? Wow. You're crazy. So he said, just trust me. I know you're upset. I know you had a bad day. But just keep going. Actually, what actually happened that morning is I found out that one of our patients had passed away. Oh. So yeah, it was a really, really rough morning. He said, just keep going. And I just have this gut feeling that you're going to meet him. So I said, okay. And I remember it was raining, and it was like at a 4-way street, and there was a Starbucks across the street. They weren't letting anybody stay on the same side of the street where everybody was arriving. So I kind of sat at the Starbucks and just kind of hung out there for a little bit. And I got this random message from somebody that said, hey, I just saw you at the Starbucks. And I was thinking, what the heck? And turned out it was somebody from the Facebook group. And wow. They said, is it okay if we like hang out with you, just wait with you, because I know you're waiting to see Bray. And I was thinking in my head, if I'm still here by myself and he pulls up, I don't know that I'm going to have the guts to try to get his attention.
Yep.
And I knew that I had this letter for him in my pocket that I wanted to give him if I did get to meet him. And I said, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to do that by myself. So I ended up hanging out with these guys for a little while, and I'd mentioned, having this present for him. And one of the other guys in the group said, don't worry, girl, I got you. I'll get his attention for you.
Wow, there you go.
He was one of the last people to arrive. He got there about 2:00. I think Braun Strowman was the only person that arrived after he did. There might have been a couple others, but he pulls up in this white sports car, gets out, starts walking in, and the guy, one of the guys in the group that I was with, just yelled at the top of his lungs, Bray! And he looked over and he's like, what? And he goes, she has a present for you. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I was absolutely mortified. So then then Bray just says, what? And I said, I have to say something now. I can't let him say it again.
Yep.
So I said, I got a present for you. And he starts walking across the street.
Oh man.
And we kind of meet in the middle of the street, and he makes a joke and he says, it's not a cherry bomb, is it? I laughed and I said, no. And so he walks right over to us, stands right in front of me, and I went into complete nurse mode. And I have no idea why, but it was like I had just been a patient for the first time. So I reached out, I shook his hand, I said, hi, my name's Jodie. Like, hi, my name's Jodie. I'm going to be your nurse today. I'm going to take care of you. Complete nurse mode. I just went into, and, he said, hi, nice to meet you. And I handed him the letter, and he said, thank you. And that he'd read it as soon as he got inside. And I froze after that. And everybody else had kind of started talking to him and asking him questions, and he didn't move. I do remember that. He stayed right in front of me, didn't move a muscle. And eventually at one point I was thinking in my head, I've got to get up the guts to ask him to take a picture, but I couldn't do it. I was so terrified, and he must have either picked up on that, or instinctively he just looked at me and he said, do you want to get a picture? And my dumb butt goes, is that okay? No, he just asked you. Of course it's okay. So he said, yeah, of course. And I got pictures with him, and everybody else was getting selfies with him. And I somehow got up the courage to say, hey, we should get a group picture for the Facebook group, since we've got over 12,000 people now. And his face kind of lit up, and he just went, oh, that's you.
Wow.
And again, I froze. I was like, yeah, that's me. Not still to this day, don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but got a group picture. He said, thank you. God bless you guys. You're awesome. And off he went.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Presumably to read my letter and then record that episode that we got that night.
Yeah, that Jodie and I spoke about that in a conversation that we had, and if you go back, and the guys who are listening in the community, if you go back and watch that that episode that happened on that night. Now that was the episode where he started off by saying he loves us, and Jodie, Jodie had written him a letter. Long story short. Bray took the letter from her. And, you could kind of get some cues as to the fact that he, very easily could have been talking directly to Jodie in response to some of the stuff that she put in the letter, which is very cool. I mean, how often do you get a guy that's going to do a promo on a show, and then kind of being directly or indirectly direct with somebody that he just met? So I think that's really cool, very awesome, and that's really that must have been really cool for you to see that.
I think if I ever got confirmation of that from him directly, I would just cry.
So was he a big guy? Like, because a lot of times you can't really tell on TV. So I don't know, like, his like how tall is he? Was he, was he big dude?
Yeah, he's I'm 5'7", and obviously if you see the picture I took with him, he's about 6'3".
Okay.
He's a muscular guy. Like he's a stocky dude. You know what I mean? And the funniest thing was, I didn't realize until I got right next to him to take the picture how good he smelled. And I thought I was the only person to notice that because I was the girl. But when we went and stood in line to go inside the venue, one of the other guys in the group said, did anybody else notice how good he smelled? And I went, oh my gosh, thank God I wasn't the only person to notice that. But he is a big old teddy bear. Everybody that I've talked to that's met him has said the same thing. He's just a big teddy bear, and he really is. He was one of the nicest people I've ever met.
That's awesome. Jeff, we have to, I don't know, maybe Bray needs to make his own, or get his cologne out there, or get that,
Yeah, we've got to figure out what type of cologne he had, because now I want some of that, so people can say, man, did you smell Jeff that day? He smelled glorious.
But you didn't, the funny thing about it was, it wasn't overwhelming. Like, you didn't smell it until you got right next to him.
Look at that, Jeff.
It wasn't that you could smell it from a mile away. Like, you couldn't smell it until you were right next to him. And I was like, what in the world
subtle but effective. Subtle but effective.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. That's a great story. and I'm, I'm sure Jeff can attest to, and when, you're younger and or you want to meet someone like that, and you hear people with just failed attempts to try to do something like that. And I mean, obviously we're all pulling for you, to have done that was unbelievable. And again, it was great that you got that, the person from the group texting you, letting you know to keep going with it. And almost that he knew that it was going to happen. That's really awesome, because I mean, if you didn't stick around, obviously it wouldn't have happened. And if you come across the people that you came around, it wouldn't have happened either. So, that's really awesome how that worked out.
Yeah. He sent me another text right after that episode aired and said, you do realize that first 30 seconds was for you, right?
That's awesome.
I'm like, no.
That's amazing. And you know what? That's why I think he's a really good guy. You from hearing from you, I would think that, that's pretty much confirmed. So that, if that's the story for everybody to, everybody wanted to hear, they wanted to hear how Jodie met Bray Wyatt. So
it was totally random.
there you go. See, Jodie didn't plan it. It just happened. Yep. So I know that you are on C Wrestling. He does his theory videos, and he is, I've started calling him the, it's almost like he's like the Batman of wrestling. He's like the Bruce Wayne of, I even told him, I said, you're either Bruce Wayne or you're Sherlock Holmes. I can't really figure out which, but I said, you just get these things, you figure these things out in your head. You've got that kind of mind. And, I saw that you and him kind of shoot some stuff off one another. So when did you guys start doing that?
I don't know.
Okay.
We just started, it was when I started watching the Wrestling Days channel, and then found C Wrestling through that. And we just kind of started talking. And a lot of the times, I mean, we have gotten to the point now that we talk every day. And we just go back and forth on these theories about Bray and what all this means and where it's going. And it's honestly one of the highlights of my day. I love talking to him. He's very intelligent. He really does read into these things, and it's awesome to see. Like I said, we've been shooting back and forth about theories for months now.
He's got a very inquisitive mind. I will definitely say that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Jodie. So as painful as this is for me to even ask you this, I have to ask. So how did you feel about the match where the Fiend lost to Bill Goldberg? I know I saw the video. So obviously we saw your reaction, along with Dave's reaction. And I love how people put that side by side, because it was really kind of crazy how similar it was. But tell me how you felt. I mean, I was at work. I know what I had to deal with. And so, yeah, let us know how you felt when that happened.
Oh boy. I actually think me and Daze had exactly the same reaction.
Yeah, looked it.
We both our jaws just hit the floor. And it wasn't that Bray lost the belt. That was okay. Because I don't think he really needs the belt to do what he needs to do. But it was how that happened. If that would have been, a long, grueling 20, 30, 40-minute match, and they both got a lot of offense in. If it was like the strap match that he had with Daniel Bryan, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. But to lose in under 2 minutes, getting no offense in, and everybody was so sure there's no way this dude's going to lose to Goldberg. That's what I had a problem with. It was just, it was heartbreaking. It really was. It sucked.
I agree with you. Now, did you think, because I had a little bit of a just, it was like a hair standing on the back of your neck almost kind of thing. I had a little bit of a feeling, because, yeah, I mean, we all read these rumors and you see the things out there every day, and, you're seeing, well, this is changing, that's changing, so all this stuff changing up to it. And I kind of started to get a feeling like, oh no, are they really going to do? Because, I always have that in the back of my mind when something happens, a big character's coming up and stuff like that. So I kind of got that little feeling. Did you did you think, like, in your wildest dreams he was going to lose this match?
I think when I did my prediction video, obviously, you know, if anybody watched it, I was saying there is no way that he's losing to Goldberg. This is not going to happen. There's no way. Goldberg's going to put him over because, you know, he's done that before. And that's what I was thinking going into it. When the match started, yeah, I kind of got that little inkling of a feeling like, I don't know about this anymore. And, you know, everybody immediately is going to jump to, you know, blame Vince McMahon because he's the one that makes all these decisions and he gets the final say on what happens. And I actually think I said in my prediction video, like, yeah, you know, Vince has made some questionable decisions that, you know, a lot of people don't really understand, but I don't think he's that stupid. He's not going to take the belt off of his biggest merch seller right now. And I think in my reaction video, I said, wow, maybe he really is that stupid.
Oh, good old Vince. Yeah, I really agree. It was certainly a stunner.
Yeah.
It you know, I know it hit everybody really hard. I was able to just kind of catch the end of Daze's video because I was told by a person who happened to be eating lunch at the time about it. So I quick grabbed my phone and watched and like he was kind of just stunned. Yeah. The way it was done and how easily it made, you know, how easily it looked actually for Goldberg. Yeah, I mean, he got up out of all those spears, which, you know, made him look a little bit better, but it just, and then that jackhammer. Oh,
it wasn't even a jackhammer.
Awful.
Awful. That was the weakest jackhammer I've ever seen in my life.
That was that was a piss poor jackhammer.
Well, and the funny thing is, I was actually more worried about Bray getting legitimately hurt than I was about him losing. Because obviously, you know that Goldberg was doing this because he wanted to kind of get some redemption from that match he had with Undertaker.
Right.
And that was, I think, his main goal. Like, I want to show people I still got it. Yep. Well, he did not succeed. He don't got it anymore.
No.
He needs to stop wrestling.
I agree. When you can't do a signature move and you don't have the strength to get a guy up. Now, granted, I mean, you talked earlier about this. Bray's a big dude. So, you know, that he's not lifting up, you know, a light guy. So, but if you can't do that, then, you know,
don't do it.
Yeah. It comes a time when you just got to admit, you know, listen, I can't do this anymore. And, you know, whatever. And nobody's going to think anything less of the guy. I mean,
no.
He, you know, so yeah.
Well, and then you even saw him getting interviewed backstage and he was out of breath.
Yep.
After 3 minutes.
Yep.
Like, if that's what you're like after a 3-minute match, like, maybe you shouldn't be doing this anymore.
I agree.
That's no offense to Goldberg. I mean, he's, you know, in his heyday, he was one of the best out there, but he just doesn't have it anymore.
Yep. I agree. Well, I mean, let's hope that ultimately the decision that was made is going to turn into something better for Bray. I obviously we all kind of knew as well that it leaked out that his next match was going to be against John Cena, and we obviously saw that. We got that set up. And so what, I mean, what do you think of the Cena matchup? And I know, you know, that it's cool because there's history there. The one cool thing I think we were all waiting for, and it took a little bit of time to get it after the match ended, was a response from Bray on Twitter. And then when we finally got that, as far as his direction, and he gives you those awesome cryptic tweets. You know, did it kind of renew your confidence a little bit and say, hey, now, okay, it looks now like everything's forgotten and everything's back on track?
I knew Bray was going to spin this in his own way. Yep. He always does. Even every time he's lost at WrestleMania, he's spun it his own way. And so I knew that he was going to bounce back from it in his own unique way, like he always does. So I never really lost hope in what he was doing, you know, and we know that he has a lot of creative freedom on what his character is doing, but he can't control the booking.
Right.
And he's got to just roll with the punches. I'm sure he was really mad and heartbroken and upset because who doesn't want to hold that belt? Yeah. But now he can refocus on, you know, his revenge and what the Fiend is doing without, and I heard somebody say it, I don't remember who it was, so if they happen to be listening and I can't credit you, sorry, but somebody said the hunter can't be the hunted. And with the belt, he was being hunted. Now he can go back to being the hunter again.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Because you're 100% right. Because when you're the one that everybody's shooting for, you can't really control a story and a storyline, because it's going to be the people who are coming up after you, the storyline that is going to dictate where you're going to go. Excuse me. So, I 100% agree with you. Now, where do you think this is going? So obviously we're seeing some stuff. Again, so much out there on Twitter about Bray. And if you guys, haven't already seen it, Bray's got a tattoo artist that puts out things every now and then, these little cryptic tweets and little artwork pictures. And, he's got so many people that are out there. And now the big thing that everybody's seeing is this Cult of Wyndham thing. It's been going on for a couple of months now, and nobody really, his Bray's own Instagram has Cult of Wyndham written on the, on his Instagram page. So I know there's all kinds of stuff, all kinds of people wondering. So I wanted to get your opinion on this. Where do you think this Cult of Wyndham thing's going? What do you think it is? Do you think this is something new that they're going to debut at WrestleMania? Do you think it's something that Bray is going to change into? Or what do you think is this Cult of Wyndham thing?
I don't know. I think it's going to blow our minds. Yep. But obviously the pictures that Kyle, his tattoo artist, and Jesse, his buddy, have been tweeting, it definitely does remind you of a little bit of a Leatherface character. Yep. So you've got the saw blade with the blood on it, you've got the stitches, and then the other one that was released looked like a lace hole with some blood on it. Yep. And it could be, kind of like we talked about yesterday, that Bray is changing a little bit every time he exacts his revenge and gets redemption for the people that have hurt him in the past. He changes a little bit. Mm-hmm. And definitely in that promo with John Cena last week on SmackDown, he was so much more like his old character, the cult leader, just in his mannerisms, the way he was talking, the way he wouldn't look at him. I mean, that it just screamed out, this is cult leader Bray coming back. And maybe it's that each time he gets revenge, the Fiend and Bray get a little bit closer together, and maybe they'll come back together to be one person, and that'll be the Cult of Wyndham. I just don't know.
Yeah, it's
plausible.
It's so out there. We Jodie and I were discussing this a little bit yesterday, and then obviously our community member and one of the mods for Days C Wrestling is, I call him the detective. He seems to figure a lot of this stuff out, and he doesn't really think that it's going to be something with something maybe associated with WWE. It might be something outside of the company that they're doing. So who knows? I mean, it could really be anything. But it's so cool that you just get all this stuff, and it just revolves around this whole storyline. And it's really one of the coolest things, to watch and to be a part of going forward. So, what do you think?
I mean, I definitely agree with that, because if it involved WWE, they would be saying, something dealing with Bray, because Bray is his character. Wyndham is who he is in real life. So maybe it has nothing to do with WWE at all. Yep. I know that, Jesse has, he's been on the radio for a long time, so it could be some kind of podcast, or who knows? We will just have to wait and see.
What if it's a movie?
I would love that.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
That would be fantastic.
That would be amazing.
The Man in the Woods movie.
Yes.
Oh, so good. So good. I mean, with the special effects that they have, and the capability of that, and I mean, look, there would be licensing things there, obviously, because WWE owns it, but WWE also has their own movie company. I mean, they've done movies with Kane, they've done movies with Miz, they've had, so they have their own company that they certainly can fit that right into. That would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
we are about to get inundated in the next few months. Now, obviously, it's gonna, this whole mess is gonna slow things down, but we're gonna get inundated with more and more Fiend merchandise, more and more Bray merchandise. Obviously, we saw the action figure at Toy Fair, and so we're just gonna get bombarded now. We got the Funko Pop earlier. We're gonna get figures. We're gonna get even more and more and more stuff. So the future looks extremely bright. And like you said, even without a title, some characters just don't need it. And look at Undertaker, all these years and years, he didn't have a title very often, and it didn't hurt him in the least. And I would imagine you think that Bray is going to be the same way.
Oh, absolutely. Because he's always been that way. Even when he only had that title for 3 weeks, he's always had his own special, unique group of fans, and we're not going anywhere, and I don't think they ever will. We're going to love him with or without a belt. Yeah,
absolutely. So Jodie, before we finish up, tell us now, we talked about this, and tell the guys out there about the segment that you have so kindly volunteered to do for us on the podcast, and we're going to try to make this a weekly thing with you. So tell everybody out there. I know you've been teasing them. You've been giving little snippets out there. So very Bray-like. You've been putting out little teases on the internet. So now is the time. What are you doing for us?
So I'm going to be doing a weekly segment called Abby's Window, because that kind of became my nickname when I became an admin of the group. They said they wanted a girl to be an admin, to be the Abby, and the nickname kind of stuck. So Black Mass Design very, very graciously made me my own graphic.
Awesome.
Called Abby's Window, and it's got Abby in it, and it's got Bray in it. And basically my goal is to just bring you all things Bray. So what did Bray do in the past week? What did he say on Twitter? What's he talking about? What did he do on TV? And kind of what's going on with him, and just to give you an update, so that way everybody has a weekly update on what's going on with Bray, because I know some people don't have Twitter,
right,
or don't really watch as much anymore.
Yep.
So just giving everybody an update on what's going on.
That's awesome. I know we've got a ton of people in our community that came over because of the Fiend and because of Bray Wyatt. And yeah, like you said, we do have to get out there to those folks who are not necessarily on these platforms all the time and just don't get to see it. So listen, that is awesome. We very much are looking forward to that. And again, I'm just going to leave it up to you to take us out, Jodie. Any last final thoughts you may have to tell the guys out there? I know we let them know about your Facebook, the Firefly Funhouse Facebook group. A lot of F's there, a little tough with that one. But yeah, so I know we have that out there. That has grown exponentially. It's been crazy how much that's grown over the past few months. So if you are a fan, get out there and join the group. You'll love it. It's very, very cool community like our own here. So final thoughts, Jodie. What do you think? Take us out.
I am super excited to see where Bray's going with this. He has this natural ability to keep us hanging on every single word he says, even if it's 2 words on Twitter, like Cult of Wyndham. Actually, that's 3 words. But still, he has this ability to make us hang on every single word, and he really, inspires us to think deeper. Even if he's just saying something as simple as Cult of Wyndham, we're all thinking, what does that mean? Let's think about this. Let's talk about it. And that's why his fans are so great, because we just love to speculate. Even if we're way out in left field and completely wrong, it's still fun. And Bray does that for us. He brings that to us, and that's why we love him. So
absolutely.
I'm super excited going forward. I know the entire community is. I can't wait to be on the show every week. We're going to have a blast.
Absolutely. Yes. It's going to be a great time. And Jeff, if we learned anything today, we learned that we've got to get a hold of the cologne that Mr.
That's right.
Mr. Wyatt wears, because this obviously is something astronomical, and we got to get our hands on some of this. So if anything, and Bray, if you happen to listen to this, which we would be absolutely honored, man, what are you wearing? You've got to let us know. And even if it's a cryptic tweet, Get it out there and let all the guys that watch know what this stuff is.
I need some of that
smells
magic.
absolutely wonderful. So yes, Bray, if you're
man.
listening, you smell absolutely wonderful, and we love you.
I don't think I've ever said this, but I really want to smell like Bray.
or smell like a fiend. If you want to do it that way, right? Yeah,
That's right.
I don't know.
Who would have ever thought, right? Well, listen, guys, it has been a blast. Jodie, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. The first guest on our show, and we look forward to that segment you're going to do. And thank you all for listening to this interview with Jodie, and I hope that you enjoyed it as much as we did. And we will talk to you all very soon. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.